I love my sister, but she has always been impulsive. When she and Jake announced they were having a baby, I wasn't excited. I was concerned. They were both barely making ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck. I sat Emma down and asked if she was sure about this. She rolled her eyes and said, "We'll figure it out. Love is what matters." Jake laughed, calling me a pessimist. "Things always work out," he said, brushing off my concerns. But I wasn't convinced. I'd seen them struggle to pay rent, borrow money for groceries, and barely manage their own lives. A baby would only add pressure. I warned her. I told her that kids are expensive, that Jake wasn't responsible, that she couldn't expect others to pick up the slack. "If things get tough, don't come to me asking for help," I said firmly. Emma's expression hardened. "You think I can't do this?" "Sarah, my best friend, told me to drop it. It's her life," she said. "Let her make her own mistakes." I wanted to, but I knew Emma. She was banking on everyone else catching her when she fell. After that conversation, Emma barely spoke to me. She and Jake were determined to prove me wrong. They stopped inviting me to things, acting like I was the villain for doubting them. I let it go. I wasn't going to argue with someone who didn't want to listen. Then the baby came. And just like I feared, everything fell apart. Jake bailed. Emma was drowning in stress. And, as I had predicted, she came knocking on my door, desperate, exhausted, and asking for money. I didn't even have to say it. She already knew my answer. Emma looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, her clothes wrinkled. The baby cried in the background, a constant, shrill reminder of how hard things had become. Jake was gone. No surprise there. He vanished a few months after the birth, leaving Emma with nothing but broken promises and unpaid bills. Now she was back at her mom's house, struggling to keep up. When I walked in, she barely looked at me before blurting out, "I need money." No pretense, no small talk, just desperation. I sighed. "Emma, we talked about this." She cut me off. I know. You warned me. But I didn't expect Jake to leave. I didn't expect it to be this hard. That was the problem. She never expected. She acted first, thought later, and now she wanted me to clean up the mess. Mom jumped in, trying to guilt-trip me. "She's your sister. Family helps family." I shook my head. Helping isn't the same as enabling. Emma's face twisted in frustration. "You can afford it," she snapped. "It's not like you're struggling. That wasn't the point. I worked hard to be financially stable, made sacrifices she never did. You have to figure this out," I told her. "I'm not your safety net." Tears welled up in her eyes, but I stood firm. Sarah had warned me this would happen. "If you give in now, she'll always rely on you," she'd said. Emma whispered, "You don't care." That stung, but I didn't budge. I cared enough to let her learn. She stormed off, and Mom shook her head in disappointment. I left without another word. No matter how much it hurt, I wasn't going to be her way out. Emma didn't just drop it. She made sure everyone knew I had abandoned her. Suddenly, family members who hadn't spoken to me in years were messaging me, telling me how heartless I was. My phone buzzed constantly, with guilt-tripping texts. "She's struggling, and you're just watching? You have the means to help. Why wouldn't you?" Then came the social media posts. Vague but obvious. Crazy how some people turn their backs when you need them most. Family isn't about blood. It's about who's there for you. People in the comments showered her with sympathy. "Stay strong, Mama. You don't need toxic people." I knew they were talking about me. Mom was relentless. "Emma's doing her best. She's barely sleeping. Can't you at least give her something?" I reminded her I'd offered babysitting, job leads, even help with budgeting. Emma rejected all of it. She didn't want solutions. She wanted money. Sarah told me to hold my ground. Once you give in, she'll never stop coming back. But doubt crept in. Was I being too harsh? Maybe I could send something small. Just enough to get them through the month. Before I could decide, Emma showed up at my door, holding her baby, looking furious. "You really don't care, do you?" she snapped. "You're letting your own nephew suffer just to prove a point." I took a deep breath. "I care, Emma. That's why I won't be your ATM." She scoffed, shaking her head.
Fine.
Don't ever expect me to talk to you again. I didn't argue. She wanted me to feel guilty, but I wasn't going to break. If she was ever going to stand on her own, this had to happen. Weeks passed. The silence was deafening. No texts, no calls, no updates. Just a void where Emma used to be. Mom barely spoke to me, still convinced I'd let my sister down. But I knew this was the only way. Then, through a relative, I heard Emma had finally found a job. She didn't have a choice. With no one left to bail her out, she had to step up. It wasn't glamorous, long shifts, low pay, but she was managing. She was doing what she should have been doing all along. I wasn't expecting a thank you, and I didn't get one. What I did get was peace of mind. Her situation wasn't perfect, but she was surviving on her own terms. Sarah was right. If you had given her money, she'd still be relying on you. Instead, she was learning resilience. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Months later, I ran into Emma at a family event. She barely acknowledged me, but I noticed something different. She didn't look defeated anymore. The exhaustion was still there, but so was determination. She didn't ask for help. She didn't need to. Mom still believed I was too harsh, but I didn't regret a thing. I cared about my sister, but love doesn't mean carrying someone forever. It means letting them learn to stand. Reddit, was I wrong? Maybe. Maybe not. But I'd rather be the villain in her story than the crutch she never let go of.